Emergency protective order granted. Those 4 words were supposed to save 25-year-old Marisol Fuentes' life. Instead, they became her death sentence. Welcome to Crime Chronicle. Kindly subscribe and put on the notification bell. On July 6th, 2025, inside La Casita restaurant in Berlin, New Hampshire, Marisol lay bleeding on the floor while her estranged husband, Michael Gleason Jr., walked calmly into the bathroom. Minutes later, a single gunshot would end his life too. But here's what will shock you. The courts had already ordered him to surrender his weapons. So how'd he get the gun that killed her? What you're about to discover will expose a system that failed at every level, and why Marisol's desperate pleas for help were ignored until it was too late. 3 months earlier, April 28th, 2025, Marisol Fuentes stood before a Berlin judge, her hands trembling as she described the nightmare her marriage had become. She wasn't just asking for help, she was begging for her life. The court documents paint a horrifying picture. Michael Gleason Jr., her 50-year-old husband, had trapped her inside their home. What happened next involves physical assault, sexual violence, and a level of control that would make your skin crawl. But I won't give you those details yet, because what matters most is what Marisol did about it. She did everything right. Everything the system told her to do. She called the police. She pressed charges. She obtained that emergency protective order. The judge looked at the evidence and agreed. Michael Gleason Jr. was dangerous. But here's where our story takes its first dark turn. While Marisol received her protection order from one judge, Michael appeared before a different authority entirely. Magistrate Judge Stephanie Johnson, a newly appointed position created just months earlier as part of New Hampshire's bail reform experiment. $5,000 bail. That's what Judge Johnson decided Michael's freedom was worth. $5,000 to walk free after allegedly imprisoning and assaulting his wife. But wait, there's more. The court also ordered him to surrender any firearms in his possession. Can you guess what happens next? Because what happened in that courtroom would seal Marisol's fate and expose a system so broken that even New Hampshire Supreme Court Chief Justice would eventually call for a complete review. 2 months pass. May, June. Marisol tries to rebuild her life, believing the court system has protected her. She has her restraining order. Michael has been ordered to stay away. He's supposed to be weapon-free. She starts working at La Casita restaurant, bringing her Mexican warmth to the cold New England community. But something was happening behind the scenes. Something the courts didn't anticipate. July 6th, 2025. 25-year-old Marisol Fuentes arrives at La Casita for what she believes is just another day at work. She has no idea that Michael has been planning. She has no idea he's obtained another weapon, despite the court order. She has no idea that the protection order she fought so hard to obtain is about to become meaningless. Here's what investigators piece together. Michael walks into the restaurant. Witnesses later describe him as calm, determined. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was execution. The gunshots echo through the small Berlin establishment. Customers dive for cover. Someone calls 911. But for Marisol, it's already too late. Michael doesn't try to run. He doesn't try to hide. He walks methodically to the restaurant's bathroom, closes the door, and ends his own life with the same weapon he used to murder his wife. But here's the question that haunts this case. Where did he get the gun? Court records show he was ordered to surrender his firearms back in April. Police confirmed he complied with that order. So how did a man under a restraining order, facing domestic violence charges, obtain a deadly weapon just months later? The answer exposes a fatal flaw in our justice system. While New Hampshire requires surrender of existing weapons, there's no mechanism to prevent someone from acquiring new ones. Michael simply bought another gun, legally. The investigation revealed the tragic irony of Marisol's death. She had done everything the system asked of her. She sought help. She obtained protection. She trusted the courts to keep her safe. But the system failed her in the most catastrophic way possible. New Hampshire Supreme Court Chief Justice Gordon MacDonald was so disturbed by this case that he ordered an unprecedented review. Justice Melissa Countway and Circuit Court Administrative Judge Ellen Christo were assigned to investigate every decision, every missed opportunity, every systemic failure that led to Marisol's death. State Representative Lori Curzon went even further, calling for Magistrate Judge Johnson to resign, stating, "The gravity of this oversight cannot be ignored." But this wasn't an isolated incident. Just 3 years earlier, another New Hampshire domestic violence case ended in murder when a judge denied a permanent restraining order, citing lack of evidence. That case prompted a sweeping review that found the court system completely overwhelmed, too few attorneys, too few advocates, too many cases. The magistrate position that granted Michael bail? It was part of an experimental bail reform program that has since been terminated. Governor Kelly Ayotte signed legislation ending these positions just months after Marisol's murder. Marisol Fuentes was born in Jalisco, Mexico. Her obituary describes her as having a $1 million smile and warmth that brought the sun of Mexico to the cold winters of New England. She was a hardworking woman who lost her life, as her obituary states, at the hands of misogyny and domestic violence. Marisol's story isn't just about one tragic failure. It's about a system that promises protection but delivers false hope. It's about restraining orders that exist on paper but offer no real security. It's about the deadly gap between surrendering existing weapons and preventing acquisition of new ones. Her death sparked systemic changes in New Hampshire's courts, but across America, how many other Marisols are out there right now, holding protection orders and believing they're safe? If this story affected you, share it. Because Marisol's voice was silenced, but her story must not be. Kindly subscribe to Crime Chronicle because it has been true Crime Chronicles.